good for how they're doing.
That helicopter, yeah, it's Black Hawk.
Yeah, 'cause she likes that whoop, whoop, whoop.
Yeah, you like that whoop.
I do too.
We're right there.
I know.
Yeah, he's been
It's like
retired.
if you go across the track.
Council meeting to order, and this is our first council meeting of 2025. We don't have a great deal on the agenda tonight, so it should be a pretty short meeting, and everybody can go home and sit by the fire because it's a little chilly tonight. But I'd like to ask Councilman Rustin to lead us in the invocation.
Sure, let's pray to God. Thank you for the opportunity to join tonight as a group. Lord, we thank you for the holiday season and what we just went through, and Lord, just all the great things that happened throughout the city during that time. Lord, we hope that everybody got the opportunity to spend time with their friends and their family during the holiday season as well. God, Lord, we thank you for a new year and be able to see that one, and Lord, just let it, as it progresses through the year, let it be a great one for the people in the city and everybody that visits it. God, we always ask that you just lay your hand upon the people that protect the city and make it go on a day-to-day basis and their families. And ask the things that we discussed for the meeting tonight, let it be for the benefit of the people that you're now operating.
Amen. Stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Attention, salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, I'll let you guys take a look at the agenda. Like I said, there's not a lot on it tonight. And while you're doing that, I'll ask the clerk to call the roll.
Councilmember Lilly. Here. Mizell. Rustin. King. Here. Phillips.
Here.
Mayor Mitchell.
Here. Okay, everyone's here. We have a quorum. So once again, I'll give you a few more seconds to take a look at the agenda. Okay. And as usual, the first item on the agenda, our consent agenda, is the approval of the December 17th, 24 regular council meeting. Council members have had an opportunity to review those minutes. Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes? Okay, if not, let the record show the minutes are approved as written. Okay, and we'll start with our department reports. Chief?
Well, we finished up 2024 in the fire department. We finished up with all our training, our inspections, our certifications on equipment, all that type of thing. Everything so far, everything passed that we do have currently in service. As far as equipment, budget-wise, we did receive our air packs here last month. I had a question for Charlene. Did we ever send that check? Are we still holding that check?
We're still holding it because I was waiting on you to
Well,
go
he
through
is
everything.
scheduled this week to come and do our in-house on all the equipment.
Mhm.
Pretty much certify everything's there, give us accountability. And when he does that, then we'll move forward with the payment.
Okay.
But we did receive the air packs that we received on the grant. Pretty much all of that is rocking along good. That kind of throws a quirk in the budget if you look at the budget, because it just throws it out of whack. But it'll come back as far as everyday things. Everything's online. Staffing, I can tell you that we're still about where we were at. We're a little low on staffing, especially this time of year. I don't know if you feel the middle of recruiting.
No, I was going to bring that up tonight, so why don't you start?
Okay, I'll start and you finish. So we went through the process of our recruiting retention officer or coordinator that we got the grant for. We got him hired. We went through the process of going through all the people. As you know, we picked one guy and hired. Well, he actually worked. He was on staff right at a month. We had a couple of meetings. We didn't really get into anything, but he resigned due to some medical family emergency. So at this current time, we don't have that position filled. So we'll be trying reach out and refill that situation. So, that's where we're at on that, so we're back to scratch one. Pretty much, that's probably the highlights of where we're at, other than the fact we are in the season of cold weather, we've got the storms coming in, so we're preparing for that. Pretty much that's it.
Were you able to reach out to,
I did, I reached out to one of them, his situation went forward on, down south, so all that's working out for him, so he's not interested.
okay,
I did not reach back out to the other one.
okay, so we have two other candidates, we interviewed 4. And so we reached out to one who had already self-eliminated himself,
He did,
but we
he did.
thought we'd try one more time. And so we've got 2 more that we'll reach out to, and hopefully we can get that ball
Now,
rolling.
the one that had self-eliminated, I will say this, he come back to me today, and, he, we talked about if he got the situation, he was still wanting to, possibly retain a membership with the fire department. So that looks like he's gonna do that, he is local, he does live here, so that's one member we will be picking up possibly, so,
Well, that's great.
but that's a good thing. But as far as the staffing of the coordinator, no, I didn't make any progress with that.
Any other questions for the chief?
So the other candidate now would be a retired guy? Or is it legal? I mean, it would be a retired,
No, the candidate
yeah.
for the position, not necessarily, no.
The one we hired has
Was
recently retired.
Correct, he was retired.
And the one who self-eliminated that we've gone back to, and we've circled back, just happened to take another opportunity that's not local and involves some travel, so he withdrew his name. And we have another one who's a full-time fire chief in another city, not too far from here. And the other one is actually more of a human resources recruiting type person. So those are the 2 candidates that we have left to look at. All right, thank you. Library.
All right, everything was good at the library. Our safety is good, we've had no issues. Budget is still good, staffing, fully staffed, obviously, and just running, we're doing good with that. Our traffic, we had an estimate of 1,101 visitors for the month of December. Of course, December, November, and December are slow just because of the holidays. We did provide $39,138 worth of services in December. That is up from last year. We are kicking off Teen Art Night on January 23rd at 5:30 to 6:30. Our first event will be Bad Art Night. And basically
Give away prizes for that?
No, well, we'll discuss that with them, but, we're gonna get like some poster board and just put all kinds of, craft stuff out. Pom-poms, feathers, pipe cleaners, and they get to design whatever they wanna do, and then, we'll go from there, so. We hope to make that a monthly event, try to get some teams in there, and we'll see what happens. So, but other than that, that's it.
Any questions for Jennifer? Okay, thank you. Environmental Services.
Well, everything's been going pretty good. They've just been doing their daily routines, and they've been getting equipment prepared for the cold weather. Some of it kind of freezes up when it gets down this low. We're still looking for a grade 2 operator. If we can find one, we've had that online for several years now. The plant, the rehab on it is underway. Contractors showed back up after all the holidays, so they started putting the form boards up for the concrete this week. So hopefully next week they'll be putting the rebar in, getting ready to pour concrete. So they're moving on with all that on that project. Other than that, everything else has been going pretty good.
I was gonna come take a look at that, hopefully tomorrow. Are they doing both ponds or just one?
They're doing one at a time.
Okay,
So we'll do the older pond, get it in operation, then we'll take the one we're currently treating the wastewater with and take it out of operation and start rehabbing it, and we'll use the new side. So, we've been flying the drone, taking drone shots, so when we get all that, put in like a little slideshow, we're gonna let the city council see it from the beginning to the end, so that'll be a pretty neat slideshow there.
any questions for Dale?
No, I do. Now, is that grade two? It seems, don't ask me how I know, I'm not in that business, but it seemed like a lot of people look for grade two operator.
A lot.
Yeah.
I mean, Alabama's in high demand for operators. You've got like a little bit of a generation before me, they're all retiring, so they're trying to fill those spots. The test has got harder over the years, so, I mean, it's just a big demand for wastewater operators.
Seems like it's a good career if you stay with it.
It is. It's a very good career. I mean, you learn a lot of stuff. You learn maintenance, electrical, biology, chemistry. There's a lot that goes into it.
But the key is passing the test, right?
Sir?
The key is passing the test. Right?
Yes, it is.
Any questions for Dale? Thanks, Dale. Community Affairs, Senior Services.
All right, so, December was successful. It was a good month. It seemed really long, but it was a good one. Thanks to Placer AI, we have a little bit of data, some numbers for, Christmas events. So there were 4,900 people in the downtown district on the night of the Christmas parade. Every other Friday night, it was between 1,500 and 1,800 people there on Friday nights. So those are all good numbers. But overall, during December, 31,700 visits to the downtown area. So that's pretty significant. It's huge. I think most of our downtown businesses will agree that they did very well in December. So we're excited for them. And that was a 12% increase from December of 2023. And it's interesting to know that 47% of those visitors are from outside of Columbiana, Wilsonville, and Shelby. So those are people coming in from other parts of the county and the Birmingham metro area. So that's good stuff.
Yeah.
That's half. So that was exciting. December was a good month.
So, refresh my memory, the Placer AI. Are those numbers just cell phone pings?
Yes.
So, is there some sort of algorithm or formula that says, okay, if you have this many cell phone pings, you really have this many pings?
Right, so when we run reports with them, they look at the cell phone pings, and then they have an algorithm that comes up with a number. So that's their guesstimate.
So that number is
what their
that
algorithm
estimate from the
shoots out,
algorithm?
yeah.
Okay.
So,
When you talk about like approximate number of kids or whatever
Yeah.
don't have cell phones.
yes.
Wow.
And you have to spend so long in the area, so like people who were driving through, it doesn't catch them. Because that would throw your numbers off. All right, so the senior center served 750 meals in December. We had a Christmas party with about 50 people there, so that was a good time. And then coming up in January for the Grand Hall, drug court graduation is on the 17th. And Libby Liberty will be back on the 24th. If you have some time that day, that Friday morning, and you want to feel really good about being an American, you should come and watch those kids, like learn some civics. It's pretty cool. So
Is that a certain grade that comes, or?
I think this time it's fourth graders.
Okay.
Pretty cool. That's it.
Is that from elementary for all over the county?
So they come Shelby, Wilsonville, Columbiana, and Vincent come to the Grand Hall.
Any other questions for Alan? Okay, thank you. I don't think we had any board. I had the library on my calendar, but that was for Christmas Eve. Did you?
We actually, tried to meet on the 17th, but with Leslie Whiting passing away,
Right.
we did not have a quorum. So,
Right.
Park and Rec will meet next Monday.
And we'll meet next Monday.
Any other
But
boards?
we did sell, our fundraiser with the Tour of Homes was successful and we brought in $4,600.
Okay,
So that
great.
was a big
That's good.
fundraiser for us.
Okay, so we have on the agenda a proclamation for Human Trafficking Awareness Month. I believe we have someone here who's going to speak to us about that.
Thank you for having me. I'm Susan Crow, and I work with Children's Aid Society of Alabama. We are a partner in the Alabama Anti-Human Trafficking Alliance. It's a group that's statewide, including the Attorney General's office, lots of different levels of federal, state, and local law enforcement, courts, DHR, educators, folks from all different walks of life across the state who are, I guess I'm just here representing our alliance to talk about Human Trafficking Awareness Month. And we're very grateful that the city of Columbiana is going to make a proclamation recognizing this month. I think it's a problem that human trafficking, and specifically from my perspective, the trafficking of children for both sex and labor purposes, is a problem that none of us would like to believe happens. But it actually is a much more significant problem in all of our communities than most of us think. And certainly with the growing prevalence of online predators, who basically have free reign to our children in our homes. There are lots of efforts at educating folks in your city, again, some of those disciplines that I mentioned before, law enforcement, educators, DHR. We want to train you and support you in how to recognize and respond to instances of human trafficking. So we are just very grateful that your city is recognizing that this is in fact a problem and making a commitment to joining the fight to do something about it. So thank you for your efforts and joining with municipalities all over the state who this month are making similar proclamations and saying we're not going to have this in our community.
Are there any questions for Susan?
I have a question. In Shelby County, does this go on?
Absolutely. It goes on truly in all 67 counties in Alabama, because y'all have an interstate running through your county, as a lot of counties here in Alabama do. You know, I think when we think of traditional human trafficking, we think of how those interstates play a role. And that's certainly true in Shelby County as it is in other interstate communities. But I've been doing this work for only 2.5 years. I'm relatively new to it. I've been astonished, honestly, by a lot of rural communities, the instances of familial trafficking. You know, people who, I know this is not a happy topic at all, but a family who may say, you know, for my drug money, I'll let you, have sex with my daughter, or things like that. That also is human trafficking. Anytime that something of value is exchanged for sex or labor that is not actually going to that person, that counts as sex trafficking. And then, like I mentioned, with the online predators, I think all of us with teenagers, and sometimes kids younger than teenagers, the sextortion that happens, the way that predators are able to talk with our children online, mostly disguised as a kid their age, it's a growing problem, and we are trying to grow the solutions to it throughout the state as well.
So it's not necessarily just kidnapping.
It's not. In fact, kidnapping and sort of what you might see in the movies is actually a very small piece of human trafficking.
Yeah. You know, it's interesting, I was at a big amusement park in Florida this past Christmas or whatever, and I was just, and ironically, you're talking about this, and I'm just sitting there saying, man, this is a haven
For predators.
And, you always, even my son got away from us, and I was freaking out of where, and I was just like, man, somebody could have a bad field day down here if they really wanted to.
Absolutely.
It's just, that's crazy.
Well, I mean, honestly, as a parent myself, it's a scary world, but the good news is there are a lot of, really wonderful professionals who know way, way more than I could know about, child trafficking. We work a lot throughout our state. The Department of Homeland Security is very involved. The Federal Department of Labor, working with the State Department of Labor, DAs all across the country. The Attorney General's office has a large anti-human trafficking effort. And then there are nonprofits throughout our state as well who are working to combat this. So the good news is we are rallying the troops, so to speak, to fight this. But it really does, when a city like yours makes a proclamation recognizing this, it's a signal to say, stay away from our community. Not that the proclamation alone will do that, but it's certainly a step in the right direction of saying, we're not gonna tolerate that in our city, in our community. So we appreciate y'all taking that step.
Yeah, I just want, Chief, does that stuff happen in our city? I'm gonna put you on the spot, just at a high level.
We don't have any actual reports of human trafficking. We do have officers that are assigned to what's called the ICAC division, which is Internet Crimes Against Children. We do have cases that come through that. It doesn't involve human trafficking, but it does involve online predators and things like that. Small parts of it, yeah, do go on in Columbiana.
We have a nonprofit building a facility here in Columbiana called Blanket Fort Hope. Are you
Yes.
familiar with them? Because
Not a lot, but I am familiar. They are an organization that serves survivors of
right,
child trafficking.
right. So we're pleased to be able to, looking forward to them
Yeah.
getting
Well, it's
an
a great
operation.
resource for your community. I'm glad that they'll be coming here. We also, I'm at Children's Aid Society. We also work with kids in foster care and other precipitous situations. And a lot of children are just more vulnerable to those sorts of crimes. And just for us to help shine some light in some of those dark corners helps all of us be better citizens, I think. But yes, I'm glad y'all are getting Blanket Fort Hope. That'll be a great resource here for the whole state, honestly, but based right here.
Yeah, but you gotta think that, just in the past few years, the technology world has just opened up a lot more avenues. You got basically the threshold now for a kid getting a cell phone is 12, 13 years old,
Yes.
and that's significant.
It is.
It's a game changer for sure.
Well, I brought y'all a little bit of literature, mostly from the Blue Campaign, which is a federal Homeland Security campaign. But use us as a resource. And hopefully our staff will reach out to the Columbiana Police and the Shelby County Sheriff's Office, and we'll make sure that we provide free training to anybody in your community who wants it. So, thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, I'm gonna read what I highlighted as the key elements. I won't read the entire proclamation, but Human Trafficking Awareness Month Proclamation, January 2025. Whereas Alabama Human Trafficking Awareness Month was established in January 2011 in observance of National Human Trafficking Awareness Day to proclaim the equality and freedom of all people, to advocate for legislation, to educate leaders, and to encourage public awareness to the various forms of human trafficking. And whereas human trafficking occurs when an adult or child is recruited, harbored, obtained, or exported through force, fraud, or coercion for the purposes of sexual exploitation, forced labor, involuntary servitude, debt bondage, and other methods of slavery. Whereas the United States government, and these are astonishing numbers, estimates that 600 to 800,000 individuals are trafficked across international borders each year and exploited through forced labor and forced sexual activity. Moving on down, whereas the first step in eliminating human trafficking is to educate the community, we must work to ensure that all residents are aware of this problem, how to spot it, and how to report it. We must work together as a community to bring victims to safety and to punish human traffickers. Whereas we ask all residents of this community to join us in raising the visibility of this crime, whose victims are all too often invisible. Together we can become more informed and work to combat its injustices. Are there any objections from the council to this proclamation? Okay, there being no objections, now therefore, I, David Mitchell, Mayor of the City of Columbiana, do hereby proclaim January 2025 as Human Trafficking Awareness Month in the City of Columbiana, Alabama. Okay.
Then if you'll stay after, we'll get a picture.
Okay, any other items of city business that anybody wants to bring up this evening? If not, mayor's report, Johnny already talked about that our SAFER recruiting and retention coordinator resigned. He didn't produce any deliverables, did not receive any compensation, so we still have the full funding available for that. I spoke with our new auditors today. We're wrapping up the fiscal year 2023 audit. Because they're new, it has taken much longer. We should have already had our audit normally completed by this time. Their firm also, when they take on a new client in their first audit, they also have a process that they go through where they make sure that the product is reviewed. They've been going through that final review this week, and I'm hoping that I will have the first draft of the full report either tomorrow or by the end of the week. We talked about the RAISE grant, pursuing that at the December 17th meeting. So we're moving forward with that. We had our first team meeting via a Zoom meeting on December the 23rd. We're getting good support from Shelby County. We're getting good support from the Regional Planning Commission. We brought on a grant writing team to assist us. And we also are getting support from CDG Engineering, which is basically going to do all the technical planning and engineering for us as part of this process. And then we're going to have weekly meetings until we submit the application for the grant on the 30th of January, and that's going to be every Wednesday starting tomorrow. I think I sent a copy of that meeting notice to all the council members if you are interested in having the time that you can zoom into that meeting at 2 o'clock tomorrow. So this is the new project. Basically, it's going to be widening, putting sidewalks on West College Street and Highway 70 to the intersection of Highway 26. It also includes sidewalks up McDowell Road to the Columbiana Sports Complex. And then this right here shows, we did a study, actually the county and the Regional Planning Commission did a study from Walton Street to McDowell Road in 2021. So we're basically going to piggyback off of that. So a lot of that technical detail is not going to have to be redone. We will make some modifications and changes to it since we have just paved College Street, and also since we have a sewer drainage project going on there, storm sewer drainage. That was part of the study, so we'll figure out how to incorporate those projects that we already have in work into this grant. And then this is basically the extension. This will all be new planning and new engineering out to 26. The little blue dashed lines are the sidewalks. And conceptually, where we will have this sidewalk going up McDowell Road into the sports complex, we are going to, right now, at this point in time, looking at the potential of also another entrance way so that the folks from these residential areas could use the sidewalks and come into the sports complex from there. We're going to communicate with High Point Development, who is the developer of the Saddlewood Trail subdivision, and they own all this property right here. This little strip here belongs to the city. And at one point in time, they had considered a walking and biking trail from the subdivision to the sports complex, so we're gonna see if we can incorporate that into this project as well. But all that's still just conceptual at this point in time, we're just kind of really getting started. Okay, any questions? Announcements?
Alright, so this Friday and Saturday night at the Arts Council is Taylor Hicks. And then Saturday morning is the Forging Families 5K. Wednesday the 20th is Martin Luther King Jr. Day, and city offices will all be closed that day.
Questions for Alan? So my claim to fame is my sister and Taylor Hicks' mom were like good buddies through grammar school and high school, and his mom used to sleep over at our house, and I was the annoying little brother, and I had a crush on her. So, anyway. Okay, any questions or comments from anyone? Okay, I think we didn't quite set a record, but this was a pretty fast meeting. So if there are no other comments, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
Okay. Meeting's adjourned.